How's it going, everybody? It is Matty here today with a video of the century telling you why you need to buy Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2. This has been a video in the making for ages, and it's time that it finally releases. So I said on Twitter that I convince people on a weekly basis to buy these games, and a lot of people responded saying, well, you still need to convince me, Matty. And I always get it, especially during the Steam sales. It's about all that's in my mentions. So you know what? I said, screw it. I'm making a video on it. I don't care if the video game series is over 10 years old. I'm still making this video on it. And so today we're going to be talking about all you need to know about these games and why you should get into them. I have a list of questions that are frequently asked to me, and it should make you feel confident with this purchase. So let's start off with this. Do I need to love Star Wars to love Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic? Well, to a degree, yes, but no. You don't need to love the movies because, in fact, this takes place tons and tons of years before the movies ever happened. It's its own universe that is creatively explored. It's a comic series as well. But the Old Republic is its own thing, and it's in fact what got me into Star Wars. Not the movies, but Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic is what brought me into Star Wars more than anything else. And that, I think, is absolutely amazing. And so the answer to that is no. You don't need to really even love Star Wars because there's swords in this game, people. Swords, like metal swords that you cut people with. That is not a Star Wars thing, and it's amazing that it's actually in this game. So no, you don't need to love Star Wars to get into KOTOR, which is the abbreviation, by the way. I'll be using that a lot from now on. But just so you know, you don't need to be this diehard Star Wars fan or anything, because as a kid, when I picked up this game when I was about 10 years old, I didn't know a thing about Star Wars. I just thought that it was a cool name. I looked at it, I was like, this is awesome. And I played it, and I'm like, damn, after that, I love Star Wars. And I got into the movies afterwards. So yes, you don't need to know a thing about the movies at all. You can play this game with no Star Wars knowledge whatsoever. You'll just learn your way through this because it's, like I said, its own universe. Let's move on to the next question. What about the MMO, Star Wars The Old Republic? Do I need to play this to get into Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic? Do I need to play this at all afterwards? Well, I feel compelled to because I don't want to get into an MMO and start spending all my money on that. No, you do not. I have not played Star Wars The Old Republic at all ever since I played it. I think in 2013 during the summer, I put about like 30 to 40 hours into it, and I just couldn't do it anymore because if you're like me and you've played Knights of the Old Republic, you know that although SWTOR, which is the abbreviation for it, is a cool idea, it's just not the Star Wars games that all of us fell in love with so many years ago. And so in answer to that question, you do not need to get into this MMO before or after the game. It's entirely optional, in fact. If you feel like you want more of the Old Republic universe, then go for it. It's not an awful game by any means necessary, but it's definitely not the Knights of the Old Republic that everyone loves. So do not go into that first, or if you feel like you need some more KOTOR afterwards, then it's not an awful option. But for me, I'm gonna hold steady until they do another type of Republic game, whether it's Knights of the New Republic, because they mentioned that in the new episode 7, so why the hell not, right? Anyway, what order should I play in? Is the sequel any good? You should play this like most game series from first to second. And now I know that may sound like a silly question, but since KOTOR 2 got such a special treatment with the upscale and resolution, the addition of achievements, a Steam Workshop out of complete nowhere, a lot of people have wondered, is KOTOR 2 just the ultimately better game, and that KOTOR 1 you can kind of just skip past, or are they just two separate stories? No, KOTOR 1 and KOTOR 2 are two separate things, but KOTOR 2 is so much more impactful in every single way if you play the first one. And I know that sounds ridiculous because yes, it is a sequel, but you can get away with playing KOTOR 2 without playing the first one because, like I said, it's its own separate thing, but it's so much better if you play the first one beforehand. Please trust me on that. If you're going to get into this series, give it your time and play the first one, then the second one. How long is this game? About 20 to 25 hours, depending on how much side content you do. It's not a crazy long game. It's a decently sized game, but you can get bite-sized pieces in here and there. It's not insanely long, but it's definitely worth your money. But is the sequel any good? A lot of people debate on this one. Is KOTOR 2 any good? I think it's absolutely fantastic. The only issue I have with it is that obviously the ending is a cliffhanger that was set up for the KOTOR 3 that was being developed by BioWare that was unfortunately canceled for the 360 when it was near completion. But that's the only thing that will leave you kind of feeling off about it. Otherwise, the sequel is fantastic because now there's Steam Workshop where all you do is click a button, subscribe to this mod, and all your cut content that was originally cut out of the game has been filled back in. And you can do more mods such as face upscales, new weapons, all this stuff. It's really expanded into a much more interesting game than the first Knights of the Old Republic, but still Knights of the Old Republic 1 is much of a classic, but still 2 is quite a dark game, and like I said, it's so much more impactful if you play that first one. But what's so good about it? Well, I just talked about why they're kind of good in the sense of sequels, but what is special about these games that makes me make a video dedicated to telling you why you should buy a 10-year-old game, even though a lot of people probably have? Well, first off, story. Both the stories for these games are absolutely fantastic and gripping. There's tons of twists, there's just tons of choices to be made, and I know a lot of you guys out there are Fallout fans first and foremost, so if you like choices in your games, which I know you do, and I'm talking about those core choices that change how people think about you, how the universe reacts to you, how the game ends up, then you're going to like this game a lot, because it's almost all about the story where, don't get me wrong, the gameplay is there and it's fantastic, you're fighting a lot, but still the story is that highlight. It's what keeps you hooked into this game, because each planet you travel to throughout this game is new, refreshing, different, has its own set of side content that you can totally miss, and you really wouldn't feel like you were missing something, like the world wouldn't feel empty at all. It's also worth mentioning that the gameplay itself is quite different from other games. It's a lot similar to, obviously, another BioWare game, Dragon Age Origins. If you've seen that, it's quite similar to that, but it's its own standalone thing that kind of runs off D&D gameplay where you roll a dice in a sense, but really all it is kind of switching between all these different attacks and kind of building out your class to how you like to play the game. But you have to have a lot of knowledge, do a little bit of reading amongst the skills, but that's really the only reading you're going to be doing in this game, because there isn't all this text and stuff, crazy amounts anywhere, because it's all voice acted except for your protagonist. But only complicated part about this game is the leveling system, because it gets so deep if you really learn a lot about it, because it's all based off rolls and you want to make sure that you choose the correct build right off the bat, whether it be a soldier, a scout, a scoundrel, etc. You want to make sure that you're picking that right one and then building out the bonuses to them properly. And what's cool about the builds in this game is that each one's kind of tiered to a certain difficulty, where some are especially weaker than others, but you still have to build them out properly so that you can kind of curve the difficulty into your favor. Also, on top of that, the soundtrack is absolutely superb. I could go on for ages about why this game is good. I hope you guys just trust me and know that, hey, I would not steer you wrong at all. Your fanboyish attitude makes you hard to trust. Is there anything wrong with Knights of the Old Republic where it may not hold up today? Now, like I admitted just many times in the past, am a fanboy of this series, but I can admit that there are some flaws that might throw off newcomers, people who have never played this game before and have hopped in just thinking like, okay, this is an older game, I should have some expectations that some things will let me down. What will those things be? Well, if I'm honest, one of them may be the gameplay, because that's a bit slower than usual, and while there have been rumors of a remaster for the first and second Knights of the Old Republic, overhauling the combat to a more fast-paced action system, which would be much more fitting for gamers nowadays and really get people into it, I feel that the game nowadays, it's just it's slow, you know, it's slow, it's hard to get into, it's hard to understand. Some people don't have that type of patience, especially with older games when they know they can be playing newer games. I can understand where gameplay might throw some people off. I don't want to say the game is flawless, because obviously every game has flaws. I do have trouble thinking of stuff that would really push you away from this game where you would not want to play it. The other issue that I think you could argue about this game is that it takes forever in the first Knights of the Old Republic, and even the second one if you don't know where to get the parts, to get your lightsaber. It does take quite a while, and especially in the second one, you could probably get through the whole game without even making a lightsaber, because you have to craft it yourself. And the first one, it comes along with the story, but it still takes a while. So some people who want to hop straight into the lightsaber game, I love it because you have to actually earn it and get used to the game before hopping into this new set of abilities and force powers and all that stuff. But a lot of people may want to just get that lightsaber right away, and while there are mods in KOTOR 2 to let you have a lightsaber right off the bat, I know some people like to play it traditionally, and so I will warn you that it does take a little bit of time to get your lightsaber, but it does feel so rewarding when you finally do get it. What about the mobile version available on all app stores such as the tablets, the phones? Does it function well on modern PCs? Is this game backwards compatible? Yes, yes, and yes. This is a fantastic port on mobile. I played it on my phone, I played it on my iPad. It works perfectly. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen, you can get this literally anywhere. It is available anywhere. Does it function well on modern PCs? Yes, I have heard some issues about crashing though. I'm not gonna lie to you, and everyone's PC just seems to be different nowadays, where I don't know if it'll work, but I play on a Windows 10 beast-ass rig that's designed for these juggernaut games that run on Ultra and stuff, and I still run KOTOR fine without any hiccups or crashes whatsoever, because I know as these games start to age more and more, they don't run on these new operating softwares, and I just want to let you know that for me personally, everything is A-okay. As I said, the mobile versions are fine, but what about the backwards compatibility? Yes, you can actually buy KOTOR 1 and 2 and play them on your Xbox 360. Now, it is worth mentioning that if you do buy these copies on eBay, which is where you'll likely find them, that they will be a bit more expensive because they obviously aren't sold in stores anymore and they're not available digitally, so people upscale the prices a little bit. So you might be paying a little bit more if you buy them for your 360, and it's also worth warning you that while I have played them on the backwards compatible versions, the loading times are a bit longer, which is kind of weird because it's on a more powerful system, and sometimes it's just abysmally long. But if you're able to play on your PC or your tablet or your phone, I would recommend that. I would recommend at least a tablet, not your phone, because this isn't kind of a pick up and play game. This is a game that you play and get engrossed in if you're texting people or if you're always on your phone or checking Twitter or whatever. It's probably not the best place to play it, but if you have a tablet on the side, whether it's an Android tablet or an iPad, then you'll be okay playing it on that. What about the price though? $10 normally on all your systems, but when it's on Steam sale on the PC, it's only $3. Is that worth it at all? Are you kidding me? Okay, let's put it this way. Let's say you buy this game right now as I'm making this video during the Steam sale. It's $3. $3, $6 combined for all of them. Okay, I'm assuming that most of us here go out to eat at least once a month at some point or another. I'd imagine so. I could be wrong. Let's say you skip out on that meal once. You can buy 2 of the best games ever made. Does that sound like a fair trade-off to you? Where you can go home and eat your own food and instead play some really superb games that need to be continued and show EA and BioWare that this is a series that needs to live on. Does that sound worth it to you? $10. Let's say you're spending $10. Let's say you see this video afterwards, you're like, damn, I want to get into Knights of the Old Republic, but $10 sounds a bit steep for each, $20 combined. Is that worth it? Ladies and gentlemen, I would spend $60 on this game today. I would do it in a heartbeat. This game is worth every penny, and I know I'm speaking from a fanboy standpoint, but please trust me when I say that I would not sit here and talk about a game that's 10 years old unless it was entirely necessary, unless I felt that people needed convincing, and that $10, are you kidding me? I wish that people who tried to convince me to buy other games nowadays were only $10. Most of the time, people are trying to convince me to spend 30, 40 bucks on games, and I'm like, I'm a little hesitant, but like, if I'm spending 10 to 20 bucks, like, what's that to me? You know, a lunch out with my friends or something like that. I can hold off on that and buy 2 games, in my opinion. I know that $20 isn't chump change by any means, but I'm just telling you guys that if you at least spend $10, try the first one, let me know what you think on it. That would be awesome, because I just want to get people into this series, because I just feel like some point in time, with all these articles coming out and these polls coming out that Knights of the Old Republic is the definitive Star Wars game, that there will be a Star Wars RPG at some point or another. I don't know if it'll be Visceral's game, because they do have a upgrade system when it comes to weapons and tools, along with the skill system. Who knows if that'll be an RPG, or if BioWare is actually going to finally work on a brand new Star Wars RPG. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I know for a fact that it's going to come at some point or another, because it's just too highly praised. And there have been many times that Phil Spencer has come to Peter Moore and said, like, hey dude, you want to make a Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remaster? Like, hello EA, open your fucking eyes. It is right there. You love money. I know you do. Don't try to lie to me. I know you love your money, and it is right there. Remake these games. Get people excited for Knights of the Old Republic and make another Star Wars RPG, okay? I understand with the Disney canon shit, but you guys have the creative control. You can work this out. This has been a highly requested feature for many fans and gamers alike, and lots of people want to get into this series, and some people don't have the patience or the want to go back into these classic games. I know that people want this, and I want people to start demanding it, and to do that, I need to show people, hey, this series fucking rocks. So I want you guys to go out there, spend $6. I'm asking you to spend $6, measly dollars, on a fantastic, arguably the best game series ever. I hope that's not too much to ask of you, but please do so, because this is one of the games I'm just so passionate about. I'm probably more passionate about it than Fallout, if I'm entirely honest. And I just love to hear what you guys think about this, because I play this on an annual basis. Every summer, every year, I sit down and play through, no matter what's going on. I don't care if a new game just came out. I make sure I play Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2 during every single summer since I started playing it, because it is my favorite game ever. And I know everyone has a different favorite game ever, but I would try my hardest to not steer you wrong. And I know for a fact I'm not doing it here. And if you look at the gameplay and you think that might be holding you back because I've had it running this whole time, it's worth it. Just give it a try because it's so different. It's so fun. You don't need to be a Star Wars diehard to play it. You don't need to play an MMO to understand it. It's cheap as dirt. It works on everything, whether it's PC, tablets, phones, backwards compatibility. It is available everywhere. It is cheap everywhere. You basically don't have an excuse unless you don't have money, then I totally understand, but just give it a whirl at least. You'd be doing me a big favor. So yeah, I just spent 17 minutes or so talking about Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, a 10-year-old game series. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this in the comments down below. Hit me with it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see, man. And if you buy this game and you start playing it, you best hit me up on those social medias you see on screen right now and let me know what you're thinking of this game because I want to see it all, ladies and gentlemen. So hit me with it. If you got questions about this game, fire away in the comments. If you got questions, tweet at me, whatever. I'll try my best to get back to you. Other than that, be sure to check out sugarbomb.com, the place where you can talk about all the gaming things. Other than that, stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.